Let's just open with the big one, the United Health assassination.
Yeah.
Let's just hit the big one. Middle of Manhattan, about 7 a.m., a little before 7 a.m., just right in front of a hotel.
Pretty brazen.
Pretty brazen. I'm not seeing the whole video because it's out there. It kind of feels like a movie. I'm waiting for some director like Quentin Tarantino to come out like we're just filming. It's not real. Because he's sitting and waiting, and he's perfectly hidden in a 4K camera is straight on both of them, and he like perfectly racks and clears his pistol 3 times, and the 3 live bullets that didn't fire off had defend, deny, depose on them, and then he just vanishes into Central Park.
Yeah, on an e-bike.
On a bicycle.
A bicycle.
Yeah. So it's kind of a movie.
Yeah.
If he had a cape and cowl, I would be like, yep. Sure enough, it's Batman just in New York now.
That kind of looked like Assassin's Creed with what
it was kind of like I'm anticipating someone to come out. It's not real. He's not dead. It's a movie. Because it's crazy how it's all just...
According to the Manhunt, the reports, I guess they feel like they're
making progress.
Which is interesting.
$2 billion budget of the NYPD, which is like funded better than like half the world's militaries.
Yeah.
If they don't find this guy,
we're
going to get a defund the police supported by everybody. Like you can't find him with that much money.
So it seems like the discourse around this is
united, you could say.
Well, you could say.
You could say united.
Yeah. People aren't revolted by this or disgusted by this. It's almost kind of this attitude online of, I'm talking about everywhere. Like from X to Reddit.
I've seen on Ben Shapiro put a video out about like crazy left or extreme revolutionary left supports killing of CEO. And like all the comments are like, dude, it's not just the left.
Yeah.
Like his people are like, bro, it's not just, it's all of us.
Yeah.
So the only people who aren't like, who care, I guess, right, are like politicians, and like big media figures. Because you have a brand you have to uphold.
Sure.
But outside of that, it's pretty across the board.
What that says to me is the environment is around healthcare. It's ripe for some sort of a dramatic change. The fact that a man can be, basically murdered in broad daylight. Assassinated.
Because everything tells us it was targeted and purposeful.
Clearly it was
there's no
there
way.
Was like another person standing by that he sort of waved away.
Yeah, I think
it was she, it looked like, but I couldn't tell.
Just the one guy disappeared. He had etched onto the casings.
Right.
Like this was targeted.
Completely.
So I'm calling it assassination. I don't know what else.
Assassination.
Yeah.
Maybe like a hitman assassination. That's I think the question.
Yeah,
at this point.
We don't know who, but
so that's what I read into this. That's my take home. That's a
similar take home for me. Yeah.
Message as well. It's like, okay, wow. A man can be assassinated, murdered in broad daylight, and people are like,
in the middle of New York City.
Well, he denied care for like millions of people, and they made
32% of claims are denied by United.
I think that's number one in the industry.
A whole third of claims.
And I think there was something like $250 billion of, I think it was profit.
Yeah, not revenue, profit.
Which is
they're one of the biggest health insurance companies on the planet.
For sure.
Undeniably.
So let healthcare for all, Medicare for all, some sort of nationalized health insurance, let that be one of the foundations of a progressive tack within the Democratic Party going forward.
It needs to be the Democrat Party, but certainly any of the progressive trying to change the party. There's clearly enough frustration that like a dude gets assassinated. Everyone's like, well, all right.
Yeah.
Don't deny claims next time.
So I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't deny claims.
But
next time.
almost everyone's like, we don't care. I tweeted something and someone was like, it's bad to be celebrating this or whatever. And I said something, if you're willingly and knowingly signing off on the fact that you can deny claims, knowing it'll kill people, people are going to not care.
Sure.
They were calling out a lack of empathy. And I'm like, okay, well, let's spin it both ways. I mean, sure, he's a cog in the machine, but that's just the Nuremberg defense. You know what I mean? The guards at the concentration camps were just cogs in the machine. No, I don't care.
Right.
He doesn't have to be the CEO of United.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He doesn't have to make $10, $20 million.
He doesn't have to do that. He can do something else with his life if he wishes. And so I said that. I was like, he knows what he's doing. He's well aware of what United does. And he's cool with it because he stays there.
Yeah.
So
it's people
aren't going to care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like,
I think the only way it could have been more explicit that this was, he's almost like a representative, this assassin is almost like a representative of the masses. I think the only thing that he could have done to sort of, be even more like this, Robin Hood / John Wick mix guy is if he actually had a pitchfork with him.
Yeah, a pitchfork and a torch, and he was standing there. And
you know what I mean?
I've been on TikTok. I've seen so many edits of...
And a T-shirt that says "Eat the Rich" or something like that.
Yeah, that could have been... I've seen so many edits of how the assassin's rolling in New York, and it's just Batman edits. I've seen so many.
Yeah.
With hundreds of thousands of likes. I'm like...
So
I think it's bad that we're at a point where we have to resort to this kind of answer. That's not a good thing. I think that's bad. It speaks poorly on society as a whole.
Yes.
That, this is where we've gotten.
Yes.
But it's not the fault of people who are victims of the health insurance company.
Yes.
Right? So I'd love to be in a world where we don't have to do this and we can just talk to Congress and they would pass a bill. But we don't live in that world.
No, we don't.
So that's unfortunate, but so long as we live in that world, it's
kind of bound to happen. I mean,
yeah.
It's almost like how a Republican might say, well, sometimes there's going to be a person with a gun who walks into a school and shoots. It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Just because the law of...
I would love to not live in that world.
Right. I would love to live in a world where we don't need guns.
Yeah.
I would love to live in a world where we all have healthcare.
Yep.
And
then this wouldn't happen.
We don't live in this world.
No.
We live in a capitalist healthcare. Oh, by the way,
a for-profit healthcare world. That's like, I'm going to say evil because there's not really another word to use.
I cannot think of another industry that I can say with confidence that we should never be profiting off of.
Yeah.
To profit off of illness
is
revolting.
Because it's like you
revolting.
could ask a person like, well, if your parent or your kid has like a disease, how much are you paying to save their life? It's like, well, everything. And it's like, cool. Well, I'm going to charge you everything just because I feel like it. Because some cases people will argue like, oh, for-profit systems make things more efficient or this or that. It proactively is making it less efficient and worse. So you can't even use that argument. You know what I mean? Like, well, people try to defend stuff. So it's like, you can even try to use that argument. Because no, actually, it's just the least efficient system we could possibly have.
Let's make a commitment now to devote a show at some point in the future.
To talk about...
Right. It could be mine or yours or both. To talk about...
Because you have insight. A lot of more insight than a lot of people.
Sure. I definitely have insight into this. I've got some things to say about it. So I think that we could make a whole show about healthcare.
I think we need to devote.
But I think we can confidently go ahead and kind of like etch this in the stone tablet.
Yeah, I'm happy to carve this one in.
Of the new Democratic Party platform that we're designing.
This reaction, if Democrats don't learn that people are clearly upset with the system, the fact that a man can get assassinated in broad daylight and everyone's cheering.
Or at least shrugging. Like,
no one's condemning it, really.
Not much.
Not really any condemnation.
Not much.
Like 1 in 1,000 voices, maybe. Gives a little pushback. It's like, clearly this is...
Right.
There's a message being sent.
it's time. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's time.
If
So
everyone's suffering that bad from it and everyone's like, well, then maybe we should make the system where that's not the response.
beautiful.
So there was a quote. Now I'm going to read into it because that makes me happy too.
There's a quote
From his wife, Brian Thompson's wife.
Oh, this is from the CEO's
Wife.
Says
this, and it's made me laugh. So I got to stay composed.
It's going to make you laugh.
It's really funny. So this
Like-
was a few days ago. USA Today posted it.
So this is like the day of the assassination.
I think it's the day of, yeah. So she had talked about that, like, he had been getting threats and like warnings, and I don't know how true that is for CEOs of health insurance companies. I'm gonna roll with that's probably fairly common. So Paulette Thompson's her name, tells the reporter that she had known of the threats, but she didn't know of whom, and quote says, "I don't know, a lack of coverage. I don't know the details." So I just know that there were some people who had been threatening him. So the fact that she throws in a lack of coverage joke, because that's not anything else. There's no way. That's not anything other than a lack of coverage joke.
Like a lack of coverage of insurance. Like
Poking
a person
at the fact that United denies claims and doesn't cover very well. I'm like,
that's weird.
so when your wife is happy to throw a dig at you and your body's still warm,
Yeah.
adds to the pile of, it's not like this is just normal people who are upset. She's also like, I mean,
It's interesting.
I'm upset this happened, but like, I mean, she's also kind of throwing her hands in the air. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that quote also speaks volumes of like his closest person to him threw a joke out. So, I mean, I'm read into it what you will, but that screams at me that like, clearly there's something wrong.
Well, she would have had the inside. She would have, must have had some,
She knew far more behind the scenes than the rest of us did.
Some understanding of what things were about. You'd assume, being his wife, that she would have some understanding.
Knows
of
how bad it actually is.
She probably would have some idea of that.
Another thing I'm going to add on, I posted yesterday, Ken Klippenstein, right?
Ken Klippenstein
posts, right? Mm-hmm. I guess United has a new CEO or acting CEO, Andrew Whitty, right? Addressed the company, and it was leaked. Someone just recorded. It was like a Zoom. Someone recorded on their phone. Quote, "We must guard against the pressures that exist for unsafe care and for unnecessary care." So this company has to defend themselves against patients and doctors saying we need to do this.
Okay.
Also says, quote, "There are very few people in the history of the U.S. healthcare industry who had a bigger positive effect on American healthcare than Brian, the CEO who was killed."
Okay.
So that's an interesting take.
Okay.
The healthcare system needs a company like United Health Group, and it needs people like Brian within it.
Okay.
So this just happened. Virtually the entire planet's like throwing their hands in the air, and they're like, we're going to make it worse, actually. We're going to double down. We didn't do it bad enough. Watch how we get to 50% denied claims, and then we're helping.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
That's their message.
Is this some sort of a spin agency or something? What do they...
Ken Klippenstein?
Yeah.
He's just a guy on
he's just
Twitter.
a guy.
He's just a dude who like reports.
Just a guy.
Yeah, just kind of a...
This is his comment.
Those were quotes from the CEO.
Okay, got it. Jeez.
So...
What a crazy system. It's
man just gets killed. You replace the guy who got assassinated and you go, actually, we're going to make it worse. Then we're helping.
Wow.
So that's their assessment.
Okay. So we see where we stand. We don't really, the picture of the guy that they found in the Starbucks or whatever it was that I thought I heard, I don't think that's the same guy. I don't think so. Unless he changed his jacket. That picture that's been going around of like the shooter, like a guy, like smiling with a hoodie, smiling. I don't think it's him. I think the nose structure is wrong, slightly different. I think the shooter had a slightly skinnier kind of bridge. Didn't he have a mask on? Yeah, but you can see it goes to here. The mask goes to here. Okay. It's a different colored backpack he's wearing. Okay, and the jacket's a little bit different. Okay, so maybe not even
So
him.
I don't think it's him. A lot of people were kind of like, that's a stretch.
That's interesting. All right.
So
we'll have to keep an eye on the story. Obviously, this will be a big story. So
yeah, it'll be going on.
So people will be keeping an eye on it.
But yeah, I wanted to touch that first and point out just like how people don't really care a whole lot. And it's, if a lot of people are like, well, where's your empathy? And it's like, well, where's theirs?
Right.
Like the shooter has way less blood on his hands than United does.
Yeah.
Like in an objective, measurable sense.
Yes.
So people are like, well, where's their empathy?
Yes.
So I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. So I'm sure there's horror stories that I don't even know about yet.
I can understand that people at large could feel the way that they feel about this.
I can't blame a single person for responding the way.
I can understand it.
I can't really blame them.